Hi everyone, thank you for attending our online student life panel. I have a group of 2Ls here with me today to discuss what it is like to be a law student and maybe give some tips, some advice, some thoughts on what your life, specifically your social life, things outside of academics, might look like here at Washington Lee Law School and in Lexington, Virginia. So to get started, we'll begin with some introductions. My name is Roy Abernathy. I'm a 3L here at Washington and Lee. I'm originally from the Charlotte area of North Carolina. Went to Virginia Tech for undergrad and then took a few years off in between undergrad and law school to teach. Now here at Washington and Lee, I'm involved in a couple things. I'm the president of the Student Bar Association, which is like student government for law school. I'm a member of the Journal for Civil Rights and Social Justice. I'm a vice chair for our Moot Court Executive Board, and I'm a member of Outlaw, which is our LGBTQ group here on campus. And now I will let our panelists introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Anahita Motasham Gayaboslu. I'm a 2L, originally from Miami, Florida. I graduated in 2016 from the University of Miami and then did 2 years at the ACLU of Virginia before coming here. Here at W&L, I'm on the German Law Journal, co-president of the International Law Society, secretary of American Constitutional Society, and that's really it.
My name is Colin Emmerich, also a 2L. I'm from Evanston, Illinois originally. I also took a few years off between undergrad and law school. I am on the law review. I'm a staff writer, and that is pretty much the only activity I am involved in.
Hi, I'm Brooke Wilson. I'm a 2L as well. I'm from the Westchester County area and I graduated Cornell in 2016. So between law school and undergrad, I worked in Boston for 2 years. On campus, I'm part of the Journal of Civil Rights and Social Justice. I'm the Vice President of Education for the Environmental Law Society, and I dance on the undergrad side with the Washington and Lee Dance Company.
Hi, I'm Tomi Akamola. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a 2L here. I went to Georgia State University for undergrad. I did political science. I spent about a year in between that and coming here. During that year, I interned and volunteered for some city council campaigns. My involvement here, I spent a lot of time as a Courageous Fellow. A Courageous Fellow serves as a peer mentor for 1Ls. So if you come, you will be assigned a peer mentor. They will be 2Ls and they will just help guide you through that year. So I've had a great time doing that. I'm also the social committee chair for VALCA, the Black Law Students Association, and I serve as a research assistant on the undergrad side for their Office of Inclusion and Engagement.
So as you can see, we have a very diverse perspective here on the amount of things you might be involved in and then what specifically you might be involved in. So we're going to just go through some questions to highlight life. So to begin with, a question I think many prospective students before they come to law school have is, can you really balance academics and social life? And so for you, what has that been like? Have you been able to still maintain a social life given the pressures of law school?
Yes, definitely. I brought in the 9 to 5 from my time working, and so like I'm in school usually around 8:30 or 9, and then I stop working around 6 or 5. It depends on how much work, and then I like to take off 1 day a week to just do nothing related to the law and just enjoy myself, hang out with my friends and hang out with my boyfriend, go outside in nature, and then during the weeknights, I make time to hang out with my friends. I live with one of my best friends, so someone in our friend group is at our house almost every night.
Yes, I also agree that it's very doable. I'm actually married. My wife and I moved down here, and we're kind of expecting 3 pretty terrible years, just like not seeing each other. And we were very pleasantly surprised to find that we have like a fantastic work-life balance. I do not do the 9 to 5 as much. I kind of work as needed, but I try to take 1 day of the weekend off, and then usually like Friday afternoons. So
Yeah, I would reiterate that. I really try to like take at least a day off to kind of just reset. And I think one of the things that I really loved about here is that everyone encourages you to, if you have something that you love doing. So for me, that's like taking yoga classes or doing like a fitness class, like people really encourage you to take that time. And I found that like helps increase productivity when I'm actually at school working. So I definitely think it's manageable to keep a very happy like social life while also doing well in school.
I would echo what a lot of them are saying. I wouldn't say that it is easy. However, I would say that as a 1L, being social and being involved will help you academically. So what I see as a 1L, what I see helping a lot of them now is that a lot of them have these social groups where they have fun, but they also study in groups together. I think isolating yourself initially is going to make it more difficult for you to assimilate socially later. So I would say don't put the social and academic separately. Realize that they can work together. If you're studying and working with your friends, they will encourage you to focus on school, and they will encourage you if they feel like you're not doing social things. So I would say don't see the two as separate. Try and see them as the same, and be intentional with those friend groups and try and foster relationships where you guys are bettering each other socially and academically.
I think Tammy makes a really excellent point there that given Washington and Lee's smaller size, what you find is that the people you're hanging out with socially are also the people you interact with academically, and so it really does foster that sense of community. And so even though you might want to have aspects of your day that are separate from law school, separate from the academics, there is a lot of overlap, which it really encourages the community here. As a follow-up question, often we hear, I think prospective students hear a myth that in law school there are the 3 S's and you can only have 2 of the 3, and those 3 S's are sleep, study time, and social time. And so that's something I think that prospective students get told, and that they have to choose 2 of the 3. Would all of us agree that that is a myth?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, regardless of where you may end up in law school, I think you need to really understand that and value the academics, but also value your personal wellness and sleep, and also value your social life and having friends and having time outside of law school. So within those answers, a couple things were alluded to. So Colin, I want to come to you first. You mentioned you moved here with your wife. For students who maybe are coming with a life partner to Lexington, what does or can Washington and Lee do or offer to help assimilate families into our community?
Yeah, I know that there's like a family group, support and keeping an eye out for jobs for one another. I know we reached out to the admissions office, and Rachel and Lisa were fantastic about like forwarding job opportunities and keeping their eyes open. So my wife started like volunteering here, and that ended up turning into a job. And then I saw an opportunity on the like campus notices, which is just like an email blast that we get every day, and like community jobs will pop up there, and I just forwarded that. So honestly, I think in some ways, because it's such a small sort of tight-knit local community, you just have a lot of like word-of-mouth stuff and sort of thinking about people that you know. And so I think my wife was like very intentional about choosing something she really wanted, and so it sort of took her the better part of a year to find 2 jobs that she's really passionate about. But I think it's like a lot easier than we thought it might be. So
awesome. Brooke, I also want to follow up with you. You mentioned that you have a couple of personal passions that you try to make time for. And in your introduction, you mentioned dance. And so you're involved with the W&L Dance Company, which is a university-wide dance company, but often is filled with mostly undergrads. And so I was wondering if you could just talk about your experience as a law student getting involved with something that the Washington Lee broader community offers.
Yeah, it's actually been really fun. There are a lot of undergrads, and like getting to know them, kind of experiencing or looking at what undergrad life was like, but through like a law student's eyes again, has been really fun. But getting involved was super easy. I reached out to the dance director in charge, and she really encouraged me to audition. She's been super flexible when I have like a night class or something that kind of butts heads with our rehearsal time, and it's been really fun to get like my law school friends to come to see shows or kind of get in the community, and also kind of touching base with the whole Lenfest Art Center. There's a lot of really great programs, and so getting a little bit more involved with that has been really fun.
Yeah, I think, Brooke speaks to dance, but there's also, thinking of two individuals in my class, there's someone who's involved with, I believe the title is University Singers, but it's a choral group on campus, and then there's also someone who, not every year, but I think at least once was involved in a theater production. So if arts are something you're interested in, you can get involved. We have had students who have participated in some of the sports teams. Specifically, I know the rugby team has had law students on it. So depending on your interests, there is ability to get more broadly involved. Do any of y'all know of any other examples we want to highlight of students being involved with the broader W&L community?
I know that there are students involved in the polo team, which is really fun,
Really?
or like the equestrian team. So that's been fun. And they have like a big student fair on the undergrad side of campus, but it's open to everyone to kind of walk through and sign up for things. So it's really fun.
The club sports and intramurals are also open to law students and undergrads too. Like I think right now it's tennis and racquetball, I think that's going on. Yeah.
So on this note of broader W&L community, what are some of the resources, so maybe not like group specific, which is kind of what we were just talking about, but what are some of the more broad W&L resources that are not maybe directly offered from the law school, but offered from the W&L community that you take advantage of? Potentially events that happen around campus or the fitness center, things like that.
So Brooke and I are both involved with Center of Gravity. It's the yoga studio. I just take classes. Brooke teaches a class.
Yes.
And then there's also a spin studio that we both go to. Also really great trails around campus and then a little bit off campus. I think it's like 2 miles away is Chessie. I don't know, it's not that far at all. So a lot of nature things to do, but definitely also like great community bonding moments through our yoga classes, Pilates classes, and spin.
My wife works at Main Street Lexington, which puts on like all the city like parades and festivals. So I end up lugging around a lot of tables and stuff for that. But those have been great to kind of get out and be part of the community with.
Colin, could you mention maybe just a couple as an example? To my mind, like the MLK parade comes to mind, but there are plenty of different events.
They do like the Christmas parade, and there's like the Jingle Bell Run. I think there was a Thanksgiving parade as well. They do a lot of other stuff for the small businesses. There was the like sip and shop kind of event thing that happened. They did like a restaurant week where there were like specials at different restaurants and like a lottery kind of thing if you went to enough of the restaurants, stuff like that.
I'm involved with the Office of Inclusion and Engagement. Now that's on the undergrad side. However, they've had a lot of big events this year that a lot of law students go to. So during MLK week, they brought Ruby Bridges, and the room was packed. This week they had a showing of Just Mercy, and that was really impactful as well. So there's a lot of organizations on the undergrad side that you don't have to join, but they will throw events and everybody's welcome to come, and I would encourage anyone to get involved with things like that.
Yeah, being involved with student government. Two others that I'll quickly highlight, our mock convention. W&L is very famous for our mock convention, so it happened this year, of course, because there is an election coming up. And so mock convention is an event where many law students got involved. One of the largest events that happens with the undergraduate side every year, it's a whole school event, just more greatly attended by undergraduates. It's Fancy Dress, which is a large dance style social event that they hold, and so Fancy Dress is another event that law students go to. On the topic of events, moving to events that are maybe more law school specific. So what are some events around the law school, of course there are different types of events that you come to and that you find enjoyable, and how much time does that take up for you?
I think like the biggest ones are Pig Roast, which is an outdoor like party situation, but it's just like a jam band comes, people are dancing, it's on a river. LSFL in the fall.
What is LSFL?
Law School Football League, I think that's what it stands for. It's just flag football on the lawn on Fridays. that everyone goes to. If you don't want to play, I don't play. I just watch. But it's just fun to get out and hang out with your friends and enjoy the warmth.
Yeah, the school does a really good job of bringing like renowned speakers. We had Paul Butler come a couple of weeks ago from Georgetown. He was talking about prison abolition. It was a fantastic talk. I always make a point to try and make those talks when people come.
Yeah, one of my favorite events this year was patio party, which is at the beginning of the school year. Kind of has everyone like come together. You can meet some of the new 1Ls. They had a great band this year, and it's just like a great way to hang out with each other, kind of break the ice on the first few weeks of school.
Yeah, I would say we have a lot of great events. We've only just named a few, but I remember as a 1L, I was like, wait, there's something every weekend. Like, law school might actually be fun. So, and when I say something every weekend, I don't mean things that people are socially planning on their own. These are things that the school is sponsoring, things that the school is paying for, and they want you to go to. So you have, again, LSFL, which was always a great break, especially when you have Friday classes, to come out, hang out with your friends, play with the dogs, or play in the game, of course. One of my favorite events that we have is our Halloween party. It's usually outdoors in this huge tent, and there's like a contest with whoever has the best costume, and it's always just really fun and something that I look forward to. But I would say this administration does a really good job in making sure that you have a balance and providing the outlet for you.
So a lot of the more social events got touched on. So the Student Bar Association, which is, again, is the student government here, helps plan many of these events. And the Student Bar Association makes a point of having one large social event per month. Lexington does have many opportunities to go out and be social, but being that we are a smaller town, realistically, to Tommy's point, the administration and then student government tries really hard to make sure there are plenty of events happening. And so those social events are once a month. Law School Football League was talked about, that's thrown by the sports czars. They also do other intramurals to keep students active. Some things that weren't mentioned, we have various groups that do events for mental wellness, and so that's also to help make sure students have a balance. And then Colin talked about speakers, and not only does the administration bring in speakers, many of our individual clubs bring in speakers. For example, the American Constitution Society throws the Supreme Court preview every fall, which is a really fun event that has very high attendance every year. And so not just the administration, but individual student groups try to do a good job of bringing speakers. Colin, quick question for you. For these events that are hosted by the law school, does your wife, does she come? Is she welcome to come to these events? What does that look like for someone who has a partner or family?
No, they're super welcoming. She came to everything, and I think like very quickly my friends became her friends independently. She's gonna, like, she played in the LSFL this last time. I've never felt weird or like there was like an undercurrent vibe like, ooh, she shouldn't come, or that it's just for law students or something like that. It's been super welcoming.
Yeah. Before I move to maybe another topic, are there any other events that we didn't mention, or frequency of event? Anything else that we want to touch on?
I would just say, like, I think law students throw a lot of like little social gatherings too, and I've been impressed by how like not cliquey they are. I mean, I think friend groups form for sure, but it's never something where like all the parties are for everybody. Like, you never feel weird about going somewhere if you want to, which I thought is unique and cool.
Bouncing off that, I would say that everyone knows everyone, and you're always going to find someone to say hi to in the hallways.
Yeah.
And if you're upset, someone, even if you're not as close to them, will definitely try and support you through that. Like, we really are all really cohesive and happy here because we're such a small school. So
yeah, I think one thing I'll touch on quickly is that something that Anahita kind of brought up, and Colin kind of brought up, this idea of there are like social events outside of planned social events, and like people are just supportive. Whatever your favorite TV show might be, I know there's like a Survivor watch group that gets together every week, which is very intense. They have a great time. I think there are multiple. I'm actually not sure if it's Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor groups that get together every week. So there's also like plenty of like non-planned social events, and to Colin's point, if you hear about that, they are extremely open.
Yeah.
And even though it's like a group of friends planned it, it's anyone would be welcome to
Yeah.
attend something like that.
Yeah.
Tommy, in the very beginning, you mentioned being a Courageous Fellow and that was a mentorship program. So I'll direct this question to you to begin with, but I think everyone can answer. What is mentorship like here, and what type of relationship do the classes have with each other?
Okay, so I would say mentorship here, we have formal programs and then there's just informal mentorship. So you can get a mentor through BOLSA, which is Black Law Students Association, WILSA, Women's Law Students Association, and then the administration will assign 2 upper level students to your section. So we serve as formal mentors, so throughout the semester and throughout both semesters we will kind of guide you through your 1L, talk about how to get a job, talk about simply adjusting to life in law school, talk about registering for classes. But I would say that we try and go beyond that. We try and be there for students personally, outside of the classroom. I visit with a lot of my mentees. I have a lot of people that they weren't assigned to me, but they just became my mentees. So I think that when you come here, you will get a lot of people that just want to look out for you. For whatever reason, maybe they feel like there's a connection there, maybe they just see something in you that reminds them of themselves, but I think the mentorship here is very strong, and I find that with my class, I find that we really are looking out for the 1Ls. I would say the interaction between the classes for me has been good. When I came in as a 1L, I remember there were 3Ls coming up to me talking about outlines. I'll give you my outlines. I didn't know what that was at that time. Like, oh, where do you want to work? I'll help you with this. Like, I didn't even know like why these things mattered, but I was like, wow, they're really nice. So I would say that the mentorship here is strong, and I would say that people want to see other people succeed, whether they know them or not, because we are a community. And when one person from W&L does well, we all do well. Law school is all about reputation, and I think that people here take that seriously and they want to help you, and I think it's a great community because of that.
Yeah.
Anyone else on mentorship?
I would agree. I did the formal mentorship through WILSO and had a mentor last year and have a mentee this year. And also I feel like there's a lot of informal mentoring. I mean, law students are creatures of habit, so you go to the same place to study every day and you kind of form those like bonds with all the people that study around you.
That's so true.
So I think, and then it also speaks to like the good relationship between all the classes and how we are in a smaller space or smaller community. So you do interact, and it's always good, positive interactions.
I don't think I have anything to add.
Sure. I was thinking back to, we talked about different things you could go to, kind of like events, but we all are involved in various groups. And I'm just curious at what opportunities you may have had here at W&L. And so that could look different for different people, but I want to start with Anahita, who just traveled to Germany, and I want you to maybe talk about international opportunities. And then Tommy, you just had an amazing opportunity to compete in a national moot court competition, and kind of what that looked like and how those opportunities came to be. So, and anyone can comment, but I just highlight some different opportunities.
Yeah, so through the German Law Journal, there's a transatlantic seminar in your 2L spring where 8 of you will get to go, and you do a random lottery and you go to Germany, and then there are also 8 German students, and it's a few days of intense comparative common law learning and talking about like the German legal system, the American legal system, and then common law versus civil law, just like really getting into the nitty-gritty of that. But then you also get time to have fun. We'd go out at night with our professor and we'd have dinner and just see him in a very informal, relaxed setting. And then we went to the German Constitutional Court, we went to the European Court of Human Rights, and got to hear a grand chamber hearing actually against Germany, which was really cool to see, and also kind of ironic. And we got to see how they did oral arguments in a civil law system and also through like human rights and how human rights were argued. And then we also went to Munich just for fun, no law at all, just to relax and just enjoy our spring break. But it was a wonderful opportunity through the German Law Journal that Professor Miller provided for us.
Yeah, and I'll let other people answer, but there are other international opportunities. I wouldn't say that it's common for all students or a majority of students to do international work, but I do think for students who find it to be their passion, whether it be, we have some students who study abroad, we have students who go to this Germany trip, we have students who work abroad in their summers, so there are opportunities to do that if it is something, if it's this type of law you're interested in.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I worked abroad my 1L summer, and then there are a few students who did it last summer and then are doing it again this summer as 2Ls through Professor Dremple and Speedy Rice and Professor Miller. So there are professors here that will help you do whatever you want to do and work abroad.
Yeah. I'll be studying abroad actually second semester 3L year in Ireland. Yeah.
Wow.
Assuming coronavirus doesn't derail that.
So I'll now ask Tony if you could talk about the opportunities you had through VALCA.
Yeah, I've had a great experience with VALCA. I've got many opportunities starting 1L. I pretty much got my job through VALCA, and I will be returning there this summer. But outside of that, I've traveled a lot this semester through VALCA. So VALCA affords you the opportunity to compete in a moot court, which is like basically simulated Supreme Court kind of cases, or mock trial, which is just a trial with a jury. As a 1L, I competed in mock trial. So we got to travel to Annapolis, Maryland, and competed in a regional competition. And we made it to the quarterfinals, which was great. This year, I decided to switch and try moot court. We got second place in the region for moot court, and the region was held in Philadelphia. So that was my first time in Philly, and that was just a really fun experience. There were events every night. And fun things to do outside of just competing. I met a lot of judges. I got firm offers while I was there, just at the regional competition. And then we moved forward to nationals. My partner and I got second place in nationals, and we also won best brief. Nationals was in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we got a lot of opportunities there. In the final round, we actually argued before Ohio Supreme Court judges, so I made a lot of connections through that. And I got some job offers from that as well. So it's allowed me to go to cities I've never been to before, meet judges, meet firms. It's just been a great opportunity that I wouldn't have had any other way. So I'm just really thankful for that. And I would really encourage any incoming student to plug themselves into any affinity group that they feel like really suits them, because there will be opportunities that are designed just for you.
Yeah, if I can piggyback off of that, I mentioned Outlaw, which is our LGBTQ organization. I did not have the opportunities to maybe compete in the way Tammy did, which is super awesome, and congratulations on how well you did.
Thank you.
But I similarly had similar job experiences and opportunities to connect with people, and so W&L made it a point to make sure that students who wanted to, through our Outlaw group, could go to Lavender Law, which is the LGBTQ national conference that happens every year, which is a really great opportunity for students to network and to find those jobs, and I was able to find that. Brooke or Colin, do either of you maybe want to talk about no pressure, but just any other opportunities that maybe have come to fruition for you in law school?
Yeah, part of the environmental law society, we also do a moot court competition at Pace University. So that was a great opportunity to go and compete and take the skills that you build kind of in the internal competitions and then bring them to kind of compete against other schools. So that was a great opportunity that we had.
Even not as part of a group like W&L has, as a 2L, you can compete in various internal competitions. So I and a partner did the negotiations competition, and we made it to the finals, and then we got to do an external competition in DC for that. Just not even affiliated with the group, just as W&L's team.
Yeah, I think Colin brings up a really good point that W&L does host our own 5 of our own internal competitions, which are open to any 2L and 3L who wants to compete. Many, if not most, 2Ls do compete. Similarly, you heard that people are in journals. We haven't talked about journals specifically, but and it's probably because 2L's notes are just now coming due, but you have the opportunity to be published through your journal. My note is being published through the Journal for Civil Rights and Social Justice. So journals offer opportunities very internally, and I would say for both, an important note about both our moot court program and journals internally is none of those opportunities are solely grade-based. All of them, I guess it's different because it's different things, but have, like for journals, there's the write-on, and so all students who want to participate do write-on, and part of getting to be on a journal is the write-on process. Similarly for moot court, it's just you signing up, and then the people who move forward are the people who perform the best. There's not you need to have this minimum level of grade, and so I think that's an important thing to highlight, is we want to make sure opportunities are available for all students. We're not sitting here as the few who have had opportunities. Anything else before we move forward on maybe events or opportunities? I was going to transition to the broader community next. So we've already heard a little bit about the Lexington community. Both Anahita and Brooke are involved in various like studios, like they mentioned spin and yoga. Anahita mentioned a little bit of the nature trails. Like we are in the Shenandoah Valley, so there are some outdoor opportunities, hikes and stuff here. Colin, via talking about his wife, mentioned some of the events that occur, that he helps with, that occur here in our community. I'm just curious. I think people know Lexington is very small. Also, we very much realize that like being a rural southern town is one with historical ties to the Confederate South, that some students come in with concerns. And so, we as students never are trying to hide that, but I think many of our experiences are very unaffected by that, or maybe, but still the law school has a lot of opportunities. And so I'm just curious, hearing from you, maybe you want to touch back on some of the things I already mentioned, but what has it been like living into Lexington? What are maybe some of your favorite things about Lexington? What has a small town or a small community maybe offered you?
So as a city girl, I was kind of nervous to come to a small town in Virginia, but I personally do like the nature, and I do go out, and I know that's like a cliche of like what people do at W&L, but I love it, grew up hiking. But even if I didn't want to hike, there are plenty of things to do in town. Like there are plenty of restaurants to go to, plenty of like little stores you could go in and just like look at boutiques, even a shop that sells free people, so we are not in the middle of nowhere. And it's just like a really nice community. I was like a little nervous that I wouldn't be as welcome, but everyone is really kind. People ask where I'm from and they're excited to hear about Miami or like my larger background, and I have been really lucky. I think that I haven't experienced anything bad, and instead I've been pleasantly surprised by just how nice people are here.
I think my favorite thing is like I can just walk everywhere. Like I walk to school, I walk into town. Like it's just like it makes me feel connected in a way that I didn't expect maybe coming in. Like on Sundays, my wife and I walk to like buy the New York Times at like the little bookstore thing, and then we just like sit in the coffee shop and like play the crossword, and that's been like a really like
Yes.
that's like my favorite way to spend a Sunday kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. I love the ability to just like walk into town. There's a farmer's market that you can go to, and then always get a scone. Their scones are really good. And I think just everyone's genuinely really nice and friendly. And I think coming from a city, I was a little bit skeptical at first. They would be like, oh, I can check in on your place. And I was like, what do you mean? But people are genuinely nice, and being in a small town has been, it's just like a nice refresher from city life. And when else am I going to spend so much time in such beautiful nature? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate to Anahita and Brooke. I'm from a city, and I also went to undergrad in the downtown of that city, so it's a very different experience. And I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, I don't know, it's a small town. Certain traditions here, I'm kind of concerned. I would say it being a small town has worked in my favor, at least as far as law school goes. I think it's allowed me, one, to focus. There's definitely less distractions here than in other larger cities. And I feel like not only am I able to focus more academically, but I am able to have better relationships here. I find that the relationships that I have here are stronger than perhaps in undergrad, just because, you know, it's just us. And and I mean that in a positive way, because it's just us and we are here to support each other. So if there ever was a time when I felt uncomfortable, I really did feel strong support here, not only from my class, but also from, you know, my professors, administrators. Like, everybody wants to help, and because we all live here together, everybody wants to make everyone else's experience great, and I feel like that is something very unique to this community, and it's something that I grew to love, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'll echo that, kind of something Tommy just said, which is that the law community specifically is extremely supportive and wants to ensure everyone enjoys their experience here in Lexington. Going back to my broader question, I want to point out two things. One of my favorite things about Lexington community, which is maybe not in Lexington specifically, but it's our area, is that we have a lot of breweries and wineries. So if you need to take a Saturday with some friends and drive a little bit out of town and have a nice day, it's pretty easy to do that, and I enjoy doing that. Additionally, I really love the Rockbridge Beer and Wine Festival. There's maybe a theme there, sorry. But that's, I think, actually a really amazing event that the community throws every year that lots of law students go to, undergrads go to, but really the community writ large attends that. So it's fair to say, I would point out that there are maybe not some of the creature comforts here that are in a city. Like, can you have Uber Eats deliver food? No, in fact, you cannot. Can you just walk to restaurants, though? Yes, in fact, you can. Can you maybe get an Uber generally after your night out? Also, probably not. But we have Traveler here, which is an on-campus version. Also, I think to Tommy's point about a supportive community, we try to really make sure we provide each other with those things. So it's fair to know, and fair to say, to know, and to note that everything you might find in a big city is not here. But I think for many of us, you forget that, or realize that you didn't need them, or so if you forget that you had to have them in your life, and you realize some of the other benefits of being in this small town, which I think is really the community. Speaking to community, I think one of the last things I want to note is what is the process of finding housing and getting settled in the community? So if maybe someone could speak to that.
So there are a few ways you can do it. There's a Facebook group called W&L House Exchange, which is really, really helpful because it's not just people from W&L, it's also the community at large will post apartments or houses for rent. And then admissions also will send listings when you're trying to find your place. And also speaking to 3Ls that are moving out is really important because that's a lot of the housing is just like 1Ls will take over houses or apartments that 3Ls have left and then usually end up staying there for the 3 years as a whole.
I think there's also like 2 or 3, maybe 4 like major leasing companies, and we found it helpful to just like go to those websites and see their listings. It's like H&K, Sterling,
Howard Hanna.
Yeah, Howard Hanna, that might be it. But like I remember trying to just Google it and not finding results and wondering like, do people live here? Like, what is the deal? But it's just like not that national. Like you have to go to like those pages. And my wife and I rented our house like sight unseen, which was definitely scary, but it worked out for us. So.
I think going off of the Facebook page, there will be times where it's just like, call this number, and you'll just talk to someone on the phone and be like, oh, I have these places, I can send you pictures. And that's common.
Yeah.
Everything they're saying is right. The Facebook page was really helpful for me just incoming. But after 1L, I moved to a different place, and I only heard about that place because the 3L was moving out. So I would say if you can connect with 3Ls before you get here, that's great. But again, if not, when you get here, you may want to move, and just know that 3Ls are a good resource for that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, are there any final things any of y'all would like to point out about social life and some of the opportunities here outside of academics before I close this down?
If you don't want to like go out and party, you can always find someone that will want to go on a walk with you or watch Netflix for you. Your interests will always be met. I will just say that.
Yeah, not sure I have much to add. I think this is a really fantastic place to be a law student. Like, it's got enough, sort of extracurricular stuff that you're never going to be bored, but it's also not overwhelming. I suffer deeply from FOMO, and I never feel like I'm missing out here. I feel like it's exactly kind of the place to be a law student, sort of. So.
Awesome. Well, with all that being said, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to listen to our Student Life panel. If you would like to be connected with anyone on the panel, or just a student who's involved in something specifically, or who has a similar background to you, to hear about what their personal experience has been like, our admissions office is more than happy to do that. So please just feel free to either call or email the lawADM@wlu.edu email address, and we'll be happy to get you in touch with someone. But we hope that this was informative and that you learned a little bit about what it might be like to be a student here in Lexington at W&L Law.